Hey guys, Rodney Miller here, Hard Money Partner. Today I'm interviewing Jack Klein, Oklahoma City wholesaler, real estate investor. And we're going to get into the nitty gritty with Jack and learn a little bit more about him, what makes him tick, what he's passionate about, talk a little bit about his business, his world travels. He's an interesting dude. So welcome, Jack.
Thank you.
Do you go by Jakawan or do you go by Jack?
Jakawan.
Jakawan. What kind of name is
Jakawan.
Jakawan, by the way? Are
Um,
you French?
my mom is Thai from Thailand,
Okay.
and Jakawan means universe.
Okay.
So, I don't know. And then the doctor couldn't pronounce it, so he's like, "Can we just call him Jack?" And it just kind of stuck since day one.
I had no idea. That's kind of interesting. Where does your mom
Yeah.
live? Is she here local? She live in Oklahoma City?
She lives in Woodward, Oklahoma, so
Okay.
about 2.5 hours away.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about you, man. Tell us a little bit about your past, where you grew up, kind of your upbringing. Let's learn a little bit about that.
Okay. I was born in Altus, Oklahoma. My dad was a military man, and my mom was a Thai woman. She was born and raised in Bangkok, Thailand, and very, college, university centered. And she came to America to go to school, and she went to school in California, and she met another Asian woman who was wanting to start a restaurant. And I don't remember why it came to Altus, Oklahoma. But anyway, she came to Altus, Oklahoma to work in this restaurant with another Asian woman. And my dad, being a military man stationed down around Altus, thought she was cute. And he's never been with an Asian before, and here I am. So I was born in Altus, and my parents, they owned a snack bar in the Altus Mall together, and they cooked Chinese food and burgers and blah blah. They owned their job. They made $1,000 to $2,000 a month or something, just owning their job in 1990 and through 94 or something like that. I was born in December of '89, so most of my time spent in a basket on top of a refrigerator in a snack bar. And then in 1995, they sold the snack bar and they moved to Woodward, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And my dad got a steady job as a correctional officer at William S. Key, and they took the $30,000 or $40,000 or whatever they got from the business, and they put it into real estate. So I grew up on slumlord rental properties, and my dad never fixed anything. He was more like, we'll caulk it. We'll caulk it.
Duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape and caulk, build a board. And so they bought a 16-door boarding house. It had like a kitchen downstairs, a kitchen upstairs, and then like 4 bathrooms and 16 doors. So I grew up with these people in like this boarding house, and they were renting each door for, I don't know, $150 to $250 a month, and they would do weekly sometimes.
Were these like oil field workers or something? What was
Yeah, it was all crazy, man. There's oil field workers and just poor people and people who are like in transition, either moving out of state or into state. And some people just liked the lifestyle of kind of like dorm style living, and they stayed for years. And then they bought the house behind there, and then they bought the lot next door and put a trailer on it and rented that out. And then they bought another house on the corner, so they owned like more than half of the block that I grew up on, at 1105 Kansas in Woodward, Oklahoma. You can look it up. It's all boarded up and overgrown with ivy now. I haven't heard of other boarding houses in Oklahoma, so I don't know if there's like, I think it wasn't.
Yeah, that sounds like something from the 1930s. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And then they bought a 6 or 8 unit apartment down the street, and so yeah, they did pretty well in real estate, being just slumlords until they divorced. I think I was 11 when they finally split up for good. So and then my mom was a single mom working minimum wage jobs. Both my parents were like no credit, pay cash for everything. They did the owner finance stuff to get some of those properties, but they never um, really had good credit or anything like that. And they just, pay cash for everything, go to school, get a job, blah, blah. At least they tried to get into the entrepreneurial stuff. I don't think they were good learners, and they were kind of unprofessional and didn't get help. But um,
Yeah, it sounds like they had a little run of it though. And if nothing else, they planted a seed in their son. I mean, that's
yeah,
huge. So now I see kind of how you get your entrepreneurial spirit. You were, you were like a baby when you were growing up in that deal, and then the real estate came later, and you got to
yeah,
witness all that. A lot of folks I talked to didn't have anything like that in their life. They
yeah.
just kind of had to go out and crack the books. But it sounded like you had some good, nothing else, some great role models that really sparked an interest in you. So
Yeah, definitely sparked an interest and taught me how not to do it. um, so after that, my dad left the state, and I started playing video games a lot, and I gained a lot of weight. I quit playing sports, and I just got really addicted to video games, and it was the only thing that I could really immerse in that I felt like I could build something from scratch. So I played online games that had an economy. And the cool thing about this is I learned to buy and sell stuff in video games. There's auction houses in World of Warcraft where I would like hire newbie characters to go mine like copper ore, and then I would buy it and I would turn it into bars, and I would sell the bars for a profit. And I would look for stuff that was under market on the auction house, and I would buy it low, and then I'd sell it high, and I basically became like a millionaire in the game. And then I did it again in another game called Maple Story, and another game called Ragnarok, and another one Ultima. So I got really good at learning the values of stuff and buying low and selling high, and that eventually led me to selling on eBay and selling on Amazon and flipping cars, and then eventually houses.
that's
Um,
really, so that's interesting. So you started in video games, pretend flipping, and and then
yeah.
that took you into the real life.
Hmm.
That's really, and I interviewed somebody a couple weeks ago, and I know the guy pretty well. That he would, before he got into houses, was flipping cars, and he'd go find cars on Craigslist,
That's
put
what I
some
did
money to
too.
them, flip them, and
Hmm.
I mean he was doing a lot of cars when I knew him, and one day I just like,
Yeah.
dude, why don't you flip real estate? It's kind of like cars.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
numbers are bigger, and so
Yeah.
it,
It takes
he did get
longer.
into real estate. He's freaking killing it. He's in Rochester, Minnesota. They moved from here up there, which is, you think would be an extremely difficult market for flipping real estate, but man, they are just destroying it. But that's
Wow.
interesting. So you had an Amazon business that you hear a lot about now. A lot of people are trying to sell stuff on Amazon and
Yeah.
do the drop. Is it like a drop shipping business basically, to where you?
No, before drop shipping was big, private labeling was kind of the thing. And I did some things I wasn't supposed to on eBay and Amazon. Like, I bought unbranded stuff, but I feel like these items were created in China, based off the real product, and they just didn't put the brand on them. But Amazon asked me for um, like not just an invoice, but something from the manufacturer proving that it was original,
Mm.
and it was not. So my biggest listing got removed. But I was selling, I don't know if you remember like credit card knives. It's like a little black piece of plastic, but you can fold it out into a pocket knife. But anyways, just look up credit card knife
You could keep it in your wallet if you needed it. You could.
yeah,
Okay, I see.
yeah.
Okay.
So I bought 1,000 of them for 55 cents a piece,
Okay.
and I was selling those on Amazon for like $6.97.
Hmm.
And I got like the number 3 spot in tools on Amazon at
Oh
one
wow.
point. So I was selling like 100 or 200 a day. I was
Wow.
like, making over $1,000 a day. And I remember seeing that. I was obsessed with checking my Amazon account, and it's like money just came in every few minutes, and I was like, I made it. I'm gonna be rich. This is $30,000 a month. I'm rich. And then I guess some competitors reported me or something, and that's when they pulled my listing, and
So
yeah.
was that kind of like a rip off of somebody else's invention and basically you got, I mean,
Yeah, it was a
okay.
patented thing, and
Okay.
I couldn't show that it was legitimate.
So
So,
that business was ended. You were cut
yep,
off at the knees.
yep.
And then is that, so, let's talk about how you transitioned to real estate. So you had these other businesses, eBay, Amazon, you
Yeah.
learned how to flip stuff, you flipped some cars. When did
Mhm.
you take a look at real estate and decide that you were gonna get into that? And when did you move to Oklahoma City?
All right, let me back up a little bit to high school. So, my dad was in the military. My mom joined the military, and she went to Iraq in 2008, and then I went to Alaska to live with grandparents to finish high school. So I actually graduated high school in Alaska,
Oh wow.
and when I was 19 years old, people kept asking, "What are you going to do? What are you going to go to? What are you going to go to school for? What are you going to go to college for?" And I had no freaking clue. So I was like looking through the book to see what would be the easiest thing that I could make the most amount of money, and I landed on X-ray tech. But my parents taught me don't go into debt, don't use credit, and all that. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go work, and I'm going to pay cash to go to school. Well, that never happened. Um, so, anyways, I dated a girl in Alaska. After a year, we broke up. I couldn't take it. And like 2 weeks later, I booked a ticket back to Oklahoma. So I went back to live with my mom in Woodward in my original house. And then, all right, here's the crazy part. You remember that prison my dad worked at in 1995? I
Mm-hmm.
went and worked in the same prison in 2011 as a correctional officer. And I met an inmate named New York that he used to sell stuff on street corners in New York, and so he was a hustler, and he was reading these books all the time. I was like, why is this dude always reading books? And he read books about eBay and credit and real estate, and I asked him, I was like, hey man, I sell on eBay. What you know about eBay? And he started telling me his story, and he said it keeps him out of trouble, and he started chasing that quick money. Anyways, he handed me a book, and he said, Klein, you need to read this book. It could change your life. Can you guess what book it was?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Exactly. He handed me Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he said, "Read this book, man. It's gonna change your life." And I was like,
It's changed
"Man,
many lives.
it really has. It's plants the seed if nothing else."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm like, dude, I don't read. I can't do it." And I've read like 2 or 3 books in my life at this point, just for book reports when I had to. And he's like, "Just read the first 2 chapters, and if you hate it, give it back to me." So I got into the first 2 chapters, and man, I finished that book in like a day, maybe day and a half. I just couldn't put it down. Like I was doing the bare minimum at work just to get through that book because I was so like, this is gold. This I didn't know other people like me exist.
Yeah.
Living
So
in
would you
small
call
town.
that
Oh
a
yeah.
pivotal moment in your life and your direction?
Within 3 months, I quit my job at the prison and I moved to Edmond because I didn't know how to learn. I did not know how to learn. So I'm like, I'm going to go to university and learn real estate and finance. So I thought I'd go to UCO and get a finance degree with a minor in real estate or marketing degree or something like that. Because I saw that, I probably Googled how to learn real estate or real estate education or whatever. And I saw that UCO has a minor in real estate. And so I moved across the street from UCO, and my first time living alone. And
And this is what year?
this
Still
is
2011.
March 2000, March 2012. Because
Okay.
I worked at the prison for a year, exactly to the day. So March 2012, I moved to.
I just gotta say, I don't see you as a prison guard. I don't see
I know, man. I was 22 years old, and I had to grow up quick. There's some of them made fun of me. They're like, "Oh, they hiring straight out of high school now," and I still, I'm 30, about to be 31. I still look young. And anyways, I had to grow up a lot, and I learned that even people that are super nice to you will lie to your face, and that
Yeah.
was a hard lesson that I needed to learn, and it helped me grow up a lot. But so yeah, I moved to Edmond, and I printed out resumes, and I went from business to business, and I got on Indeed.com. And anyways, the first person to hire me was Bob Howard. I was a used car salesman
Oh, really?
for a whole 2 weeks in one day. But I got to go through their target training, and I had a few days on the lot. And man, 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week was not for me.
Sure. Sure.
And just seeing like people make bad financial decisions, because like I've always been very frugal and very good at saving money since, my first job at 15. I made $5.15 an hour and I saved most of it. And then I worked at McDonald's and I saved most of that. So I've been saving for 15 years now to get the capital I have. Anyways, after, where was I?
So you worked as a car salesman. You're trying to find yourself. You were going to go to college. So you're in Edmond, maybe trying to go to UCO.
Yep. Okay. So those resumes I put out, the district manager of Jimmy John's got a hold of me, and he said, "Hey man, I don't know what you got going on, but I got a spot for you, and I'm going to start you off at manager pay, which is only $1 more than everyone else an hour. But here's the deal: you got to start tomorrow." And he's like, "Man, and I'm going to get you to do deliveries, and I promise you, you're going to make $15 to $20 an hour. Like, come on." And I was only making like 13 an hour at the prison. So for me, that sounded real good, and I hated it, but I disappointed Bob Howard guy, and he was pissed off. But I went to work at Jimmy John's, and I did that for a few months, and it was really fun.
I bet leaving Bob Howard, you could sell the crap out of a sandwich, huh?
Oh man, I did too. I was really good. They really liked me, and they got to the point where they were like, "Hey, we're gonna create a catering manager position, and you're probably gonna make 70,000-80,000 a year." And part of that I liked, because I actually liked working at Jimmy John's, and then part of it scared the crap out of me. Just like whenever they told me when I worked at the prison, they're like, "You can be 42 years old and retire and get a check for the rest of your life." And they're thinking that they're like hyping me up, like, "You got it going." And I'm like, no, that scared the hell out of me. I'm like, I haven't lived my life yet.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I have commitment issues.
Just give us the best years of your life, and you're
right.
Be able to retire on a meager.
You'll get a $2,000 a month check for the rest of your life. Woo-hoo. Yeah. like a couple rentals paid off, 3 rentals paid off.
Yep.
Okay, so after working at Jimmy John's, I quit, and I started to learn about real estate. I hired a mentor. I used my last check from the prison, $1,500, and I paid a guy out of Florida called the Naked Investor.
Heard of that guy? Who is that?
You heard that guy?
Yeah, who is it?
Michael Carbonare, I think is his name.
I remember the Naked Investor a while back. Is he still around?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
And for only $1,500?
$1,500, and he sends me a literal binder full of old papers and contracts and learning material, and he talked to me on the phone, at least once a week, and he text messaged me, and he was supposed to teach me lease options when I didn't even know what a lease option was. So
sure.
But he was the first guy that talked to me about real estate and said, "Hey man, you can do this and I'll help you do this." This is before I knew RIAs existed, before I knew what Bigger Pockets was, before I knew anybody or anything.
Sure.
And just from Google searching,
And do you feel like that was money well spent? Did he take the time to really, really invest in you, and did he set you on the path? Or did did you get enough information to be dangerous and then really take off on your own and figure it out?
Well, I don't think that I was so green. I don't think I even knew what a mortgage was. Like, yeah. I was so green that I don't think I was ready for the information he was handing me, nor was I confident enough. But the good thing he did do was he got me on the phone. So he got me on Craigslist, and he said, "I want you to call every single for sale by owner and go through this script." And I messed up a lot, and it was ugly. And then he's like, "After you go through the for sale by owners, I want you to go through the for rent by owners." And I mean, I made hundreds of phone calls, and eventually I learned what to say, what not to say, and I got pretty dang good on the phone.
Okay.
And I found a mobile home that was listed for $5,500, no pictures, and the lady was moving to Florida.
Okay.
And I'm like, I've seen enough of these that this one looks juicy. So I went there and I used my young age, I think I was 23 at the time, and I used it to my advantage. And of these 6 people that were looking at the property, I stayed, and I was the last one. And I was like, "Hey man, I'm young, I'm broke, and I really want to live here, and I'm living in a crappy 1-bedroom apartment, and I would really love to live in this mobile home. Is there any way that you could, come close to $3,000? It's like really all I have." And I saved that from working at the prison and McDonald's and Walmart. And he's like, nope, can't do it. We're asking 5,500. And you saw there's 8 or 10 other people interested. And this was a mobile home in Edmond, off of Francis, I think.
I know where that is. I do.
Yeah. Yeah, that mobile home park. It was
a little mobile home park. That was for sale not too long ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the whole mobile home park was for sale. That's funny. Well, that was my first deal that wasn't a car or a tablet computer or fidget spinners or anything like that. And anyways, I talked him down, and I think I stood there until it was dark, maybe 3-4 hours, talking to this guy, begging this guy, and he finally accepted $3,500. And
you just paid cash for it?
Yep, I just paid cash, and I think he gave me the title, and I didn't understand it, and for some reason I needed to pay taxes on it, and
so you were really green. You just went for it, man. I just
went for
it. Man, I'm going for it. I'll figure it out later.
I bet the farm. I probably had $4,500, and I put $3,500 into this deal, so I bet the farm.
I love it. Now, did you know it came with lot rent?
No, I never paid lot rent. I never paid it. I just passed it on to the next person, and I got scared. So I was gonna live in it, and then I'm like, it needs a 220 outlet put in for the stove, and it needed a couple broken windows replaced, and it needed like recaulk and stuff, and I didn't own any tools, and I didn't know how to replace a window or 220, or like that you can call an electrician and they'll come out and give a quote or a bid or anything like that. I didn't know anything.
You sound like me when I started real estate. I didn't know I was behind a wall. I didn't know anything behind a wall.
Yeah.
Electrical and plumbing.
I barely moved out of my mom's house. I didn't know nothing. So I got scared. But the neighbor walked across the street and said, "Hey, is this for sale?" And I was like, yeah, could you pay $5,500? And she's like, that's for my brother. Let me ask him. And she calls me back the next day, and she's like, could you do $4,500? And I said, do you have cash? Can you do it today? And she said, not today, but Friday. So I sold it, and I made, after paying the taxes, I made like $930 or something on my first deal. So I almost made back what I had invested in the course, the $1,500 course, just from this one deal. And he did produce that by getting.
Dude, that's awesome. So from the day you got the course in the mail to the day that deal went down, how much time transpired?
I don't know, 2 or 3 months maybe. I really wish I remember.
You were learning material, you were making phone calls. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you got your first deal. It probably lit a fire under you. You were like, holy shit, this works.
Yeah, I remember going to the bank on Danforth in Edmond, MidFirst Bank, and I remember holding the money and just like looking at the teller, and I'm like, I almost wanted to hug the bank teller and like give her a high five and just be like, woo! Holding this amount of money and putting it in my account just felt really surreal. It wasn't technically a wholesale deal. It was a mobile home flip or whatever, like a car, but still, it was my first taste of it. What happened after that? After that, I worked at 7-Eleven for a little while, because my girlfriend at the time worked at 7-Eleven, and she was making like $12.50 an hour, which was pretty decent compared to, with, so anyways, I worked there for like 6 months. I got fired for not IDing somebody, and I remember getting really depressed after that and being like, I've been in Oklahoma City or in Edmond for like 9 months. I can't afford college. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And I came here to do real estate, and I haven't done real estate. I mean, I guess I started, but I really want to do this.
So while you were working for 7-Eleven, were you still making phone calls and working real estate, or did you just let that fall to the side?
I let it kind of fall to the side, man. You know how it is. Like you do something for so long, you get discouraged when you don't see results for weeks on end, and you're just like, what's the point anyway? And I just kind of let it fall to the side, and I just worked my job and played video games and hung out with a girlfriend and saved money. And eventually, when I got fired, I was like, I started calling every single We Buy Houses sign. I thought these We Buy Houses signs were big companies. And later on, I found out that most of them are broke wholesalers that don't know what they're doing. And I called all the We Buy Houses ads on Craigslist, because Craigslist was a big deal before Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
And so eventually, like my standard was $12 an hour. So I'm like, I'll do anything for $12 an hour. I'll sell your houses. I'll list your houses. I'll talk about your houses. I'll show your houses. I'll put lock boxes. I'll change doorknobs. What do you need me to do? Anything. I even almost accepted minimum wage for laying tile. And I'm glad I didn't. But eventually, this guy got a hold of me. Leo Kingston, 1-800-2-SELL Homes.
Oh, I know Leo.
And he said, yeah, Leo. He got a hold of me when I was wearing Walmart button-ups and my hair was twice as long, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. And
was he like, hey, this is Leo. What's going on?
I was scared shitless, man. And I went and talked to Paulette, and she kind of mama beared me and said, I want you to stand up tall and go talk to that man and shake his hand firm and tell him what you've done with the mobile home and what you want to do, and that you're all in and you want to do this, and just be up front with him, and I think it'll go pretty good. So that's exactly what I did. And he's like, you're greener than green. He's like, you're so green, I don't think you know anything. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'd like to give you a shot. I like your enthusiasm. I want you to read 2 books on negotiation, and I want you to take the realtor course, just so you can learn some of the lingo and verbiage and what a mortgage is and stuff like that. So he paid for it, and I went to real estate school, and I didn't do the state exam, but I did everything up until that.
Really?
And
I had no idea I had no idea that you had any affiliation with Leo. That's funny.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I worked at 1-800-2-SELL Homes for 6 or 7 months, maybe.
So did you become a buyer?
Well, for 3 months, I followed his acquisition manager around.
Okay.
And did training. And I think they figured out that I was terrible at acquisitions, because they sent me to a couple appointments and I was just nervous as hell, and not real good at negotiating when I didn't know enough about real estate or the deals or anything, or how the process really worked.
Sure.
So for 3 months, I just kind of did that and kind of assisted him. And then after the 3-month mark, I was making $1,500 a month to learn, which is, at the time, it was just barely enough to pay all my bills and stuff.
Leo was paying you like a salary to learn?
Yeah, $1,500 a month, but paying me to be trained, plus the $500 in the real estate exam. So he invested, $5,000 in me for me to get started. So I need to go thank that guy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then after the 3-month mark, he said, hey, we got a great opportunity for you. And I was like, oh God, what's this? And he said, we're not going to pay you a salary anymore, but you're going to make $1,000 for every house you sell. And I was like, okay. Well, I thought I was going to be paid more to buy and sell, but now I only get to sell, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I should have been grateful for the opportunity. And I think at one time I had up to 11 houses I was trying to sell for them. So I basically became 1-800-2-SELL Homes disposition manager.
Okay.
In the early stages. And yeah, man, I didn't know how to manage anything. And I literally had sticky notes around my computer monitor with addresses and prices. And imagine there was up to 11 sticky notes at one time. And I'm trying to manage this. And I carried a legal size clipboard with like name, phone number, notes, so I can keep track of everyone I talk to and which property I talk to them about, and be able to follow up with them. And it was just crazy learning to manage that stress.
Yeah, he had a massive operation over there. So I always wonder how he ran that damn thing. But yeah, there was just a million moving parts, and they were doing a lot of volumes.
Yeah.
You were thrown into the fire, but I bet that really served you well, though. As stressful as it was, I bet you learned a ton.
I did. I learned to work under pressure and under stress, and I learned to close a few deals, and I ended up selling some stuff for them. And like sometimes you work on the weekend and you meet with a seller at a Brahms to get a contract, and you convince them to use their inheritance to pay cash for the house instead of getting a loan, so that it can close faster, so that you can get paid and eat faster. I mean, hungry salesman shit.
Yeah.
But after about 6 or 7 months, for 4 months of that, I was looking for my own house. Like I really wanted to buy a house for me, and I had been pre-approved at Bank of Oklahoma for a loan, and I finally found a HUD home. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage brick house on a corner lot in Chisholm Creek before they built Topgolf.
Okay.
Woo! And it was listed
Wow.
for $40,000 for a 322, 1,560 square feet. I mean, that's just unheard of, right now. And I had looked at so many houses over the past 4 months, and plus the houses I've seen go through 1-800 Tulsa Homes. I was just like, sight unseen, 10,000 above asking price. So they wanted 40,000. I offered 50,000, and I got it. And I bought that house with a conventional loan because an investor had come and cut the heat and air lines and ripped out some carpet so that, he was hoping it would go to investors, I guess, so that it wasn't FHA. But I got a conventional loan, closed on it, and lived there for 3.5 years. And the day that I closed on that loan, I quit working at 1-800 Tulsa Homes. And I'm like, I want to do this on my own. Like, I'm making $2,000 or $3,000 a month. I want to make way more than that. And
So this is what year is this that you quit?
2013.
And that's when you officially went all in with your real estate business?
I tried to.
Uh-huh.
So I think it was like May of 2013. I quit and I bought my house. And then it was September before I created an LLC. So May, June, July, August, September. So 4 months after I quit, I created an LLC. But I did a couple, 2 or 3 deals in between that. So I started putting out bandit signs. We buy houses, yellow, as is, we pay cash, whatever. And I put them in Edmond before I knew what code enforcement was. and yeah. And a realtor called me and said, hey, we got this house, and the poor kid, his mom passed away last month, and then the house caught on fire this month, and we need $20,000. And, I'd done a lot of phone calls at this point through the course, and I was like, I tried to offer her 12,000, and she's like, son, did you not hear me? We need 20,000. If you don't take it, we're going to list it. And I said, okay. Can you give me 2 days? Can I go look at it and talk to my mentor and see about my money? And she said, sure, go do your thing. So I went and looked at it, and I took pictures, and then I took it to the RIA. Leo made me go to the RIAs, so I learned what all those were. I think it was Rose Wilkinson. I'm dropping all these names. Rose Wilkinson tried to get me to go, and she had to reschedule. And I thought that RIAs were something that you had to be invited to, so I never went until.
Oh yeah, RIA, for those you don't know, is Real Estate Investment Association. Every city's got one or a couple where all the investors go and meet up.
Right. So I took this deal to the RIA, and I was like, do you buy burnouts? Do you buy burnouts? Do you buy burnouts? And I looked at Brian Nix, and Brian Nix pointed me to Justin Gentry and said, that guy does. And so I told Justin about it. I gave him the address, and he's like, yeah, I'll go look at it. And so he goes and looks at it, and he's like, I think I can make it work. What do you want for it? And I was so poor and broke and new, I didn't know how to ask for money. So I was just like, could you do $2,000? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, and I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have a contract. I didn't know what an assignment was still. And yeah, man, I'm the worst. I'm the worst of the worst. If I can do this, anyone can do this for real. So I didn't know what to do. So luckily Justin Gentry is an incredible guy. One of my first badass mentors. And he got the phone number from the realtor, and he coordinated the whole deal and closed it in I think like a week. And then I was like scared at that point, like, oh God, how am I going to get paid? And he said, your check is in an envelope taped to my door at this address. And it was like a long drive. It was from Edmond to Southwest 104th and Penn. And I just remember the drive down there. I'm like, is this real? 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 And then I get the check and I open it up, and I remember I had a black pad folio, and I put the check on there, and I probably stared at it for like 20 or 30 minutes. Like, I just made $2,000 in a couple phone calls in like an hour of my life. Like, this is going to change my life. And
That's awesome, Dave. But let's fast forward a little bit. So you're you're a big wholesaler. I know that you've wholesaled for quite a while now. You're very well known in the marketplace, and I guess you're doing some buy and holds now.
Yep.
Let's just fast forward to now. Tell us about. I mean, we've heard about your struggles, your ups and downs, trying to learn about all this, and we'll fast forward. I mean, that wasn't that long ago. We're 2020 now, and what does your business look like now, man? Tell me about your business, because I know you're a busy dude.
Well, I did a lot better last year before COVID. I had a pretty good setup. This year is, I don't know. It's kind of slow this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, this year's an anomaly. It's a weird deal. Talk about last year. I mean,
Okay. So last year, well, okay. Sorry. A story leads to a story leads to a story. So
Sure.
Before last year, 2017 was a really, really good year for me. I moved downtown with Sean McVicker into the Regency, and we lived on the 18th floor, pointing at the Devon Tower. It was amazing. It was the first time I've ever spent any money, and I grew up really poor with a super scarcity mindset. So for me to live in a $1,300 a month apartment and like be able to do stuff like that was amazing. Anyways, that was my first 6-figure year, and then I traveled a lot that year, and I went to Thailand with my dad for 2 weeks, and I met a girl. This is my weakness. If I got into the nitty gritty of every year, I'm like my weakness. I met this girl in Thailand, and like a week or two later, I flew back to Thailand and spent a week with her. And then we talked every day, and I had a hard time doing work because the 12-hour time difference. Anyways, February 1st, 2018, I bought a one-way flight to Thailand, and I just didn't come back for 9 months. And I was flipping houses before I went there. So I went and saw her in December for a week, and I was flipping houses, and I'm like, hey, I want to come back, but I need to finish these flips. So I had like 3 flips going, and I sold them all or got them on the market and pre-signed deeds before I went back on February. And like I had all these deals closing. So that's how I afforded to live in Thailand for 9 months. So
I wondered that. So you weren't flipping houses while you're in Thailand. You stopped.
I did a couple referrals and I tried, but
you had accumulated enough money to where you could live over there for a while and become.
Yeah. I lived upper middle class for $800 a month, like renting couches at movie theaters. It was awesome. It was fun. So okay, getting back from Thailand, I saw all the emails. Like I was on email blasts and buyers list and stuff when I was in Thailand, and I wanted to buy these houses so bad. I'm like, I would cringe monthly because I'm like, I would have bought that deal. I would have bought that deal. I would have bought that deal, and I couldn't because I was there. So it was November 2018. I was so hungry to do this business again that I dropped $5,500 on bandit signs. I'm just like all in, and I found a guy to put them out, and I started with 100 a week, and then I doubled it the next month. So in December, I went crazy and I was putting out 200 bandit signs a week. And I think I did 5 deals that month. Just imagine just getting back from Thailand, like that shock. And within 30, 45 days, I got 5 deals under contract.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then January, I didn't do too good, 2019. But then February, I did a wholesale, and I made $24,000, and that paid for my whole year of bandit signs. So that's what I did. I bumped it up to 1,000 bandit signs a month, and I was doing 1,000 signs a month in 2019, and averaging a deal every 4 or 5 weeks from signs, a deal every 3 to 4 weeks from referrals, and I was also buying from wholesalers. So I did really, really well last year. So you asked, what is my business like? I wholesale what I don't like. I wholesale what I think will make more money, waiting for a retail buyer. If it's livable, or if there's something I can do to make it livable.
Explain to people what a wholesale deal is, because a lot of people don't understand that.
Okay, so a wholesale is in between a wholesale and a retail. So with a wholesale, you're just going to assign or double close your contract to your end buyer. With a retail, you're going to completely fix it up, and you're going to probably get a VA or FHA buyer, and you're going to have TRRs, and you're going to have 30 to 45 day closings, and I'm just too ADD for all that. So a wholesale is kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion, because you can still get a VA buyer or conventional buyer, but you can still sell it as is. And like, let's say the most common way, I would just clean the house out, like get all the stuff out, and then I'd have a cleaning lady come through and like sweep, mop, vacuum, clean the appliances if there are any, and then I'd have a professional photographer come through and take pictures and then list it. That's it.
And it's eligible for VA and FHA because it's livable, right? It's got all the working parts. It's got carpet. It's livable. It's just might be the prettiest thing in the world, but
right, perfect for outdated but livable. But I would typically not take FHA, and I would ask them to do conventional, just because FHA has a lot more requirements and stuff. Sure. And they might tell me to do a termite treatment and replace the roof, and there's some siding outside that needs to be replaced. And like, I started wholetailing because I don't know how to do the repairs. Like, again, this is like, I'm an idiot, and I just winged my way through this all these years. So I kind of fell into wholetailing by accident. I don't even remember when it was, but I had a deal that I knew I could wholesale and make $5,000. But if I wholetailed it, if I had time to wait, because the seller needed to close in 2 weeks, like if I could close in this deal, I could make way more than $5,000 for sure. So Russell Hunt gave me a hard money loan for the full amount. He said, "Yeah, you did good on this." So you're like, I'll cover all of it. And I listed it on the MLS and found a full price buyer with a VA loan. Closed it and made like $28,000, where I was going to do $5,000.
Wow.
So
that's massive. So
I'm sold on wholetailing after that. You have time to wait for the buyer. You have time to wait for someone who's willing to pay 100% minus repairs instead of 75 or 80.
Sure. Sure.
And the power of waiting for a buyer is just, I mean, especially right now when deals are so hard to find, instead of making a quick $5,000 on every deal and going for volume, since it's harder to get volume right now, what if you could make twice as much money on half as many deals?
Sure. Just be more selective about your deals.
Yeah. So Absolutely. That's what I started doing.
So right now, are you holding any properties? You do any buy and hold stuff? What are you looking at in buy and hold? Are you doing lease options? Or are you just doing straight rentals? What are you doing for?
I got a little bit creative. So I've got some owner finances. So like, let's say these deals I was wholetailing. Let's say that I didn't find a buyer at the price I want, especially if it's like a little $20,000 or $30,000 house or less. I had one that I just threw a roof on it and the inside was just trashed. And I could not find a cash buyer for even $28,000. So I had the agent change it to say owner will finance with large down payment. And somebody gave me like $10,000 down, and I financed it at 10 or 12% interest. And so I have some notes like that, and then I have some rent to owns that they put $5,000 to $10,000 down, and then I get rent. It's obviously a much lower rent than market, but these people treat the house like they own it, and I have some of those. And then I have some straight rentals, and then I think that's it. Some rent to own.
Why are your rents lower than market? Because I've never had that. I've never experienced that. When I do lease options, I usually get the market rent rate or close to it.
Usually because I'm selling houses that need a lot of work and at a lower price to.
And you're expecting them to go in and put some money into it, fix it up.
Exactly. Yeah. So the nice houses I usually just wholesale or rent them myself. Mm-hmm. So this is like little houses I don't want to mess with. Like I have another one in Lawton. So if I really fixed it up and put $10,000 into it, I could probably rent it for $750. But instead of putting that $10,000 into it, he gave me $5,000 down, and I'm getting $600 a month.
Sure.
I'll take $100 a month less to not have to put $10,000 into it. Plus, I got paid $5,000 up front.
Sure.
So, sure. Out of town deals and small deals, it makes sense.
That's kind of how I built my IRA portfolio, man. I had an IRA, and that's all I did was lease options and owner finance deals.
Yeah,
And
man.
it was awesome, man. It's just a great way to grow an IRA.
The ROIs is just ridiculous. I mean,
It's sick. It really is. Yeah, but
yeah.
talk about the market now, because you kind of touched on it a little bit. I was buying and wholesaling I started in 2003, and it was really a heavy wholesaler 2006 through 2012, I guess, before I started really buying and holding. But
Mhm.
I just, when I'm looking at the market today, and just from, I'm spoiled the way I used to buy. We used to get,
Yeah.
if we bought a house and we were all in it for 35 grand, it would bring 700 a month in rent, and you
Woo.
can't get that now. So,
Yeah.
and you're like, crap, man, you almost can't even cash flow a lot of these deals. So it's just
Yeah.
frustrating for somebody that was, and I know the markets go up and all that, but it just seems like things are a little crazy right now.
Yeah. It's super.
How do you feel about the market right now? You think we're looking at a reset? Is it coming up pretty soon? What do you foresee in the near future? If you were to put on your future
I don't,
goggles.
I don't know, man. So I started like really paying attention in 2013, 2014, and I feel like it's almost like classmates, the people that also started around the same time as me, are kind of like what you're saying. We're spoiled. We've seen the low prices, and it's
Yeah, I had lunch with
hard.
Sean McVicker, and I remember he was killing it back when you were. Just signs everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to do 100 bandit signs a week, and when you guys came out, I was like, "Fuck, I'm not even competing. I'm pulling my signs."
In
'Cause you
them
guys are
out.
all over the place, but you guys were killing it for the longest. But Sean's like, "Man, that's kind of crazy right now. I don't know
It's
what."
super crazy. Yeah, if you think
But
about
then
it.
you see these guys on Facebook, and they're like, "Bought 7 houses this month. Bring me more. Bring me more." And you're like,
Yeah,
"What? What's going on?" So
I think I think it's because lending is so easy right now,
yeah.
and people are able to refinance at 80% of the highest appraisals, and it's kind of scary, honestly. And part of me, like, I want to keep buying, and I have been buying at least like one a month, um, but it's kind of scary because the people that have been in it around 2007, 8 are talking about this is what it was like back then, and
Well, yeah.
everyone thinks they're a genius when they're making six figures.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're a genius, and whenever they're getting refis the size of an elephant, and it's so easy. What happens when the money gets shut off, or what happens when there is a correction, or even a change where banks tighten up and interest rates go up or something? Like any little change, I just think would be.
Well, that's exactly what we experienced in 2008. I remember first thing that goes is the lending. Banks tighten up.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people that are overpaying for houses now because of the low interest rates, usually those are 15 years with a 5-year fixed, and you refinance. But what happens if you overpay for that house? The rates go up, and then the 5 years comes up, and you've got to refinance and come out of pocket for that house because value. And
Yeah.
that's what happens. That's what happens in these
Yeah.
scenarios where people are paying too much. Will it happen this time? I don't know, but it looks like people are really, riding the razor's edge of what is profitability and everything. And so,
Yeah, I agree, man. It's pretty scary. I think you should do it the Warren Buffett way, and don't buy anything that you wouldn't want to own 10 years from now. And then I talk to my mentors a lot, and they tell me, cash is king, save cash, and keep buying, but just keep a cash reserve, and just be careful, and don't
just
be
try to have
stuck.
equity. Equity's important.
Yeah,
Don't
and,
overlook the
and don't
equity.
yeah, and don't be stuck with your tail between your legs. Don't do any big flips right now. Do not be doing two, three, $400,000 flips right now. It's a bad time for that. Still a great time to wholesale. Great time to wholesale.
Oh yeah, because the
Yeah,
market's hot. The market's hot. If
it's
you can
oh,
find a deal,
yeah,
you're going to be able to sell the deal, right?
yeah. I mean, I have my fingers and a lot of friends that are in it, and I mean, people are buying houses every day, every week. There are tons of deals. There's tons of money, and the market's super hot, like you said. So for right now, I don't know. I'm cautious, but I just keep a cash reserve, and keep going. I don't know. I think it's good.
where do you see yourself 5 or 10 years? Do you think you're going to be in, or you think you'll ever get into commercial or other assets or other asset classes? I'm looking at mobile home parks right now. I've been looking at them,
Cool.
trying to find a good deal on a mobile home park, but I own some multifamily stuff in Tulsa and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
that's crap. There's no really good deals out there. They're way overpriced right now. The cap rates are compressed and all that, but I'm always looking around for what's next. What makes sense?
Yeah, that's
You, are
awesome.
you, have you looked at anything else, like anything that makes sense to you?
No, man, for the longest time, I mean, literally the last 7 years, I've asked myself, do I want to go big and scale it up, or is there something better? Because I keep feeling like I'm in the kiddie pool with wholesaling and what I'm doing. I'm like, I know how to make 10 grand a month. I know how to make 20 grand a month if I really work hard for it. But what's beyond that? Like, how do you do better? And the people that I really see succeeding long term are people that are chipping away buying rentals. And for the long term, because think about the people that bought rentals heavily, even the deals that I had a hard time selling and making 2 or 3 grand on in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, houses in, what is it called? I'm like, what's the terrible area that came up?
Highland.
Highland, I can't think of the name of it. It's off of like Britain and Western. What is that?
North Highlands.
North Highlands, yeah, North
Yeah.
Highlands. So you used to be able to buy houses in there for 20, 30 grand. And Memphis Invest came in and they've sold some houses in there, some 322s for 120,000, 110,000. I have a wholesale I just sold in there for 85,000. And that's crazy. Like, I remember passing on deals in there for 20 or $30,000. And so I don't remember what was the point of that.
I don't remember. I'm getting old.
I'm getting old too, man. Jeez. I need a nap. Anyways, just
Prices go up.
Yeah, prices went up like crazy, man. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm always looking at. I mean,
Oh yeah, you asked me if I was gonna do anything else.
yeah.
And I really like my life, man. And I like to travel. I like the simplicity. I like that I have freedom of my time and I can just get up and go to Europe for a month.
Let's talk about that. Where all have you been? Give us some of your travels, because I thought I saw a list a while back, but you've been around the world. You've been some cool places. Tell us where you've been and what real estate has done for you and allowed you to do.
Yeah, man. Well, I think the only reason that I have anything is because I save money. I live very, very frugally. The shirt was $10. Like, I took it to the extreme until a few years ago. I was that guy that compares great value with the real brand to save 30 cents. And I literally saved my first 20 grand that way.
That's good.
Yeah. And then
Spend your money where it matters, and experiences, life.
Yeah. Gary Vee talks about being able to live on, $1 or $2 a day and stuff. And I didn't take it that extreme, but pretty close. And then what it allowed me to do in 2017, when I had my first 6-figure year in real estate, I was able to save most of that money. And that allowed me to spend 9 months in Thailand and be able to flip houses and be able to be bankable and be able to pay off my debts and be able to be debt free. And there's a book called Set for Life. It's a Bigger Pockets book. And that guy really thinks about money the way I do. And he talks about a financial runway. And he thinks about, first you need to have like an emergency fund. And then you need to have like a 6-month runway. So 6 months of living expenses in case, the market goes down, we have a pandemic, like you can't evict people, you have vacancies, like whatever, 6-month runway, and then a 1-year runway, and then a 5-year runway, and then have enough assets to pay for your stuff to where you're set for life. And, in other books, they talk about getting out of the rat race. But real estate has allowed me to save enough money and create enough cash flow that I feel like I don't worry about money anymore. And that's such a weird thing, that I used to get so stressed out about like needing tires or a doctor bill or alternator going out. Anything would stress me out if it was money related, because I was the guy that, bought great value to save 30 cents. So anything $100, $200, $500 just killed my life. So I sold that house in Chisholm Creek from the story earlier, the $50,000 house in Chisholm Creek. I sold it in 2017 for 111,000. So I bought it for 50,000 and I sold it for 111 after they built Cabela's. And
did you know that big development was coming in there?
I had no idea. I just bought it because it was a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage brick house in the corner lot that's 3 times bigger than what I grew up in. And I just love the house. First time having central heat and air in my own place. Like,
wow. Well, you were going to tell me about you traveled. Tell me where you've been.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you got to recorrect me. Okay, travels. So in 2016, I went to Europe. I took a one-way flight with Sean McVicker to Frankfurt. He was
also a real estate investor here in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, we both started around the same time. I was working at Tulsa Homes whenever I brought him to the RIA, and I was like, dude, you could talk to millionaires. Anyways, so we went to Europe for 28 days, and we started in Frankfurt, went to Marburg, Germany, and then we took a bullet train to Munich, and then we took a bus to Prague, Czech Republic, and then we took a bus to Dresden, Germany, and then Berlin, Germany, and then we took a flight to Amsterdam and immersed in the culture. My first time smoking a lot of weed and laughing myself to sleep. That was fun. I used to be scared of the stuff. Amsterdam opened me up. And then we took a flight to, we took a flight to London and spent some time in London. And then we took a ferry to Wales and then to Dublin. And then we ended our trip in Dublin, Ireland, and clubbed a lot, and then flew back home. So that was a fun 28-day or 26-day Euro trip.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, it was so fun. I fell in love with it. It's just the most alive I've ever felt in my life, because here, we get stuck in a pattern of doing the same thing every day, and you don't even notice when you're walking out the door. You don't notice all the things around you because you're so used to it. Sure. But when you travel somewhere new, everything is new to your mind, and your mind's taking it all in, and time slows down, and you meet people that you never talked to before, and accents you've never heard, and travel makes me feel alive. So anyways, after that, I've been on a lot of cruises. So AORE, the local OKC RIA, does a cruise every year. So I wrote a hot check to go on that in 2013. I didn't have the money, and neither did Sean, but he's like, we're going. So we wrote hot checks, and we're like, don't cash these yet. Let us go do a deal. So we went and did a wholesale deal to pay for it. And then went again in 2014 and again in 2015. And then I skipped 2016, 17 and went other places. And then I went on a cruise again last year. And so everywhere cruises go, Mexico, Bahamas, Grand Cay, Aruba, Curacao, St. Thomas, St. Martin, all the saints. Just everywhere down in there. I freaking love Mexico. I like drinking too much. Went to Colombia for 2 weeks with Sean. We went to Bogota, Cartagena, and Medellin. I love Medellin. That place is amazing. I went to Thailand 3 times. I went to Italy with Nick, actually this year in January. Went to Italy, Tuscany, Barcelona, Spain. Where else? Oh, I did a 2-week trip with my dad through Poland, Budapest, Austria, Germany, Czech Republic.
Wow, dude, you are a world traveler. So what happens to your real estate company when you leave? Does it just shut down? Do you come back and just have to bust ass?
Well, I only had 4 or 5 rentals and some owner finances, and the rent-owns took care of themselves. They're on auto pay, and I just have really good people until 2017 before I started buying more. But I never really had big problems, because usually my trips would be 1 to 2 weeks long.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be back before payments are due.
Gotcha.
If there's any major problems, and they know to call, call the plumber if something's really leaking or messing up, or I would still be able to text. I use Google Hangouts for tenants and stuff, and you can call with a 405 number with Google Hangouts for like 1 cent per minute.
Yeah.
And so if they would text me, I would just text a handyman or Sean or somebody in the States to like go handle it if it was really an emergency.
Yeah, let's talk more about your income. You got to, you're a wholesaler. You got to wholesale houses, hotel houses, flip to make income.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I guess for a couple of weeks you could let that sit, and then you come back and you just.
Well, in 2017 and in 2019, I had people helping me. So I had an acquisition manager, and sometimes they would help sell stuff too. So really just somebody to share profits with, either 50%, 30%, or 20%, depending on the deal and who I'm doing it with, and if they brought the deal or I brought the deal.
So when you were gone, things were still churning. You were still buying and selling. That's cool.
Right. But when I didn't have people, then it slowed down, but I'm usually like clearing it up before I leave. Like I would pre-sign deeds, and they would just print on my signed deed the address or whatever, so I could still close on stuff while I'm gone. And I still email every day, no matter where I am in the world. And if something needed to be marketed or whatever, I could still take phone calls and emails. But I usually would know months in advance if I'm traveling somewhere, so I would try and get everything cleaned and cleared up before I leave. Or I would sit the closing out for when I get back, and I would tell the seller, hey, I'm going to Germany. I'll be gone for 2 weeks, but whenever I get back, we'll go to closing. And after 2017, I got bankable, and I started actually buying a lot of these houses and doing more wholesaling than wholesaling. Usually when I wholesale to close friends and people. Like I would just call you up and be like, hey man, I got this deal. I'm going to Germany. I could probably wholesale it and make 10 or 12, but I'd sell it to you for this price and just make like $3 or $4 grand. Do you want it? If not, I'm going to give it to Sean. And you'd say, sure. And then I don't have to worry about it because you're going to handle the closing and the title company's going to handle the closing. And then if it's a wholesale, then, I tell the bank, pull the appraisal, let's get it done. And then I can basically coordinate everything through text and email and close on it. And then, I have literally a text message to the clean out guy, a text message to the cleaning lady, and a text message to the photographer. And that's really my main system for making money, my favorite way to make money.
Sure.
And then all that gets done, and then I have a text message to the realtor to get it listed, and I email him the Dropbox link for the pictures, and that all gets done. So I
you got
really
some good systems in place. You can run your business from afar if need be. And I mean that's really cool, man. I mean that's cool. It allows you to be free. I mean, you got the ultimate freedom. You can stay here and grind it out, but when you're ready to go, you can go and let somebody else grind it out for you. And that's huge. That's cool. What do you value more, money or freedom?
Time and freedom, for sure.
Time and freedom, man. That's it, man.
That's not chasing money anymore.
That's what it's all about, right?
All about, man. Yeah, I'm time rich and money wealthy enough.
I like it. So if you were to give advice to some young person that wanted just thinking about college or trying to figure out what they want to do with life, or trying to figure out if maybe real estate is something they've heard about but thought it was too tough, which is tough, but you can do it. What would be your advice to somebody that seeing you and kind of heard your story, and it wasn't easy, but you did it? What would you tell them, man? Well, what would you tell them if they wanted to pursue real estate or pursue entrepreneurism, and really try to be self-employed?
Immerse. You are who you hang around, and you are what you listen to. And what you listen to becomes your thoughts, which becomes your conversations, which becomes your actions, which becomes your results. So choose your friends wisely. Drink and party less. I still struggle with that, but I can tell a huge, immense difference in my fitness and my business when I lay off the drinking and the smoking and all that and just really focus. So get serious would be my advice, and immerse. Like instead of listening to music, listen to a podcast. Instead of Netflix, pick up a book and skim that book for knowledge. Look for nuggets and things that you can take action on. ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions and seek answers, and get your questions answered by people who are doing it. Find people who are doing what you want to do and ask them questions, and ask them for advice. And I asked stupid questions, but I kept asking until I got answers that helped me get in the right direction. And Nathan Cowan, Justin Gentry, and Russell Hunt, those three like really mentored me a lot. And I remember being broke, and Andrew Cross too. I'd be like, hey man, I'm broke. What do I need to do? Like, do you have anything for me? Is there anything I can do? If you were me and you were broke, what would you do? How do I find a deal right now? How do I make money? And I was just always looking for an answer, or a big golden nugget or the big key, but I don't really think there is one golden nugget or key to it all. It's just hard work.
I think what you said is huge. Immerse yourself, study, learn, find a mentor, find several mentors, take a real estate investor or entrepreneur to lunch and buy their lunch. And start asking questions, but you got to take action, man. It's up to you. You've got to go where the people are, join the local real estate investor groups, join the local entrepreneurship groups, but you got to go where the action is and immerse yourself and see other people doing what you want to do. Fires you up, and it kind of shows you can be done. And I remember when I first started, the first person I took to lunch was Leo Kingston.
Hey.
And bought him a steak lunch, man. And he kind of explained me how it was. But dude, this has been really good information, man. I really think you're a huge inspiration to a lot of people, because I watch you on Facebook, and you're totally honest, man. You put it all out there, good, the bad. It's not all the good like most people do. When you're having tough times or whatever, you put it out there, and when you learn a nugget of wisdom, you put it out there, and lessons learned and lessons you're still learning. You
every day, never stop learning.
You're an open book, man. If people wanted to get in touch with you, if a young kid wanted to, ask you some questions or get some mentorship, how would they get a hold of you?
Message me on Facebook, Jakawan Klein, Jakawan Klein, or email me at oklahomawholesale@gmail.com. I have a lot of people message me every day, so I don't give out my phone number anymore to anyone. I just say message me on Facebook or email me. And
Gotcha.
And I still spend a lot of time replying to emails and messages. But yeah, man, I don't know why we would hide the bad. I mean, we're all struggling, trying to figure it out, right? Even the richest people have struggles. It might not be money, but it could be mindset. It could be depression, anxiety, managing their family life. I mean, there's always something. So We're all human.
We're all human, man. We're all struggling in one way or another,
Yep. I agree.
So, Jack, man, I really appreciate it. This is a great interview, man. I appreciate your time, and you survived it. You didn't think you had anything to say. You had a lot to say.
That's funny, man. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know what to say, but you asked good questions and had to keep redirecting my ADD.
I think we both kind of went off a little bit. Everybody, Jack Klein. Thanks, Jack. Rodney Miller, Hard Money Partner. Thanks.
Woo! Thank you.